When people ask me about the best massage technique to look younger instantly, I always give them the same answer. Facial sagging after 60 isn't just about getting older, it's actually a lot about stagnant circulation and muscles that just aren't being used enough. And honestly, if you don't wake those muscles up, no cream or serum, no matter how expensive, is truly going to firm your skin. So, in this episode, we're going to dive into a simple at home facial massage. It's a technique from Japan's oldest doctor, and all you need are your hands. In under 10 minutes, it can help lift your cheeks, tighten your jawline, and smooth your forehead. It's genuinely the most effective way to make yourself look younger. Welcome back to the Senior Health Podcast. Today, I'm going to walk you through step by step how to perform this 9-part massage ritual. It's rooted in Japanese facial therapy and backed by modern lymphatic research, all designed to help your skin feel fresher, brighter, and more alive. Our expert, the doctor behind this, is over 100 years old, still treating patients, and he's considered a national treasure in Japanese medicine. He shared with me that this particular technique is incredibly close to his heart because he's watched too many patients over the years feel like their faces no longer reflect their spirit. But he reminds us the face isn't a photograph, it's a living system and it can be reawakened. So I'm sure you're all going to love this episode. That perspective alone is so profound because we're often taught to think of facial aging as this inevitable thing, something to hide or cover up, instead of something we can actually support and restore. And he absolutely agrees. He explains that the face holds more than just expression. It holds lymph fluid, tension, old habits, and emotions. And after 60, if we don't help it release those things, the signs really do show up as sagging, puffiness, and a loss of tone. But he emphasizes these signs aren't permanent. They're simply requests for movement. In past episodes, we've explored how inflammation, diet, and muscle loss can show up in the skin. And today, we're taking that understanding even deeper. We're going to use massage to stimulate blood flow, activate collagen pathways, and help drain the fluids that cause puffiness, all using movements anyone can do right from home. And for those of you who really follow through and complete the sequence for 14 days, you may not just see a difference, you may genuinely feel it in your mood, your posture, even your confidence. That's my favorite part because most people think self-care has to be expensive or complicated. But what this doctor is showing us here is that the face, like the rest of the body, responds to presence, rhythm, and consistent care. It always has. In the next few minutes, we'll begin with the areas most people tend to ignore: the lower jaw, the neck, and the cheeks. These are the foundations, and once they move freely, everything else really does begin to lift. I'll be honest with you, I started doing this massage 2 weeks ago just to prepare for this show. And for the first few days, I didn't notice much. But then one morning, I looked in the mirror and thought, wow, I look more like myself. And that truly surprised me because I wasn't trying to look younger. I was just trying to look less tired. And that, I believe, is the real result we're after. Not youth, not perfection, but a return to the version of yourself that feels awake, inside, and out. So before we begin, I'd love for you to comment where you're watching from. We always love to hear from our listeners. Now, let's dive into it. I asked him, Doctor, what is the very first area of the face that we should always start with, and why does it make such a difference? He told me, the first area we always begin with is the jawline, and not primarily for aesthetic reasons. It's because this is where lymph stagnates first. The jaw and lower cheeks collect tension, fluid, and waste that the body hasn't effectively cleared overnight. That's something I'd never considered, that aging can really begin with what the body fails to drain. Yes, he confirmed. And the longer that fluid sits, the more the skin stretches to accommodate it. Over time, that pull results in sagging. So it's not just gravity, it's stagnation. Exactly. Gravity is a factor, yes, but the body has systems designed to resist it. Lymph flow, circulation, muscle tone. And when those slow down, the skin loses its internal support. That truly changes how we think about aging, not as a collapse, but as a quiet surrender of circulation. And that surrender can be reversed. He shared a Japanese saying with me. In Japan, we often say the face is the surface of the breath, and the breath moves where tension is released. That's such a poetic way to frame this, because in the West, we often see the face as a canvas, something to be filled, covered, or fixed. But he's saying it's not a canvas, it's a map that shows where we've been holding stress, fluid, even emotion, and that with the right touch, that map can change. So, with that in mind, let's move into the first of the 9 massage techniques, beginning with the jaw and neck. And I strongly suggest you stay with me because you will need all 9 for the best results. I asked him, Doctor, where exactly do we place our hands and what should we be feeling when we do it right? He instructed, begin by placing your fingers just beneath the curve of your jaw with your thumbs resting lightly under the chin. Glide your fingers upward along the edge of the jawbone until you reach the space just below your ears. This movement is not random. It follows the natural path of lymphatic flow. Once you reach that point near the ears, sweep gently but firmly down the neck, ending at the collarbones. You are encouraging the body to drain old fluid, not forcefully, but rhythmically. When I did this for the first time, I actually noticed my face felt warmer within a minute. It wasn't just heat, it felt like circulation had been reawakened, like something dormant was moving again. And I realized I'd never actually touched my face that way, not with that kind of presence. He explained, that warmth is your capillaries opening. It's a sign that the tissue is receiving oxygen again, not from outside, but from within. Most people only massage the surface of the face, but when you follow this pattern, upward under the jaw, down the neck, you're accessing a deeper system. The lymph nodes below the ears are key drainage points. If they're blocked, even the best creams can't help. So we start here because this is the foundation, the first path the body uses to release swelling and restore tone. So it's not about pulling the skin tighter, it's about clearing what shouldn't even be there in the first place. Exactly, he affirmed. You're not sculpting, you're releasing. That really reframes the whole idea of lifting. It's not artificial, it's about helping the face do what it already knows how to do if we just support it. So once this system is open, once the jaw and neck have been activated, what's the next layer we should focus on? Now we shift to the second technique, which belongs to the underside of the chin, where sagging and double chins often begin to form, he continued. You begin by clasping the jaw with both hands, fingers wrapped firmly around the bone from each side. The grip must be strong enough that you can feel the jawline through the skin, but not so hard that it causes pain. From there, you glide your hands upward along the bone. Then gently release and repeat. Do this 7 to 10 times slowly, each pass sending a message of structure and renewal. That's something no one tells you, that the double chin isn't just from fat or age, but from muscles that have simply gone quiet. It's like we forgot there were even muscles there. But this movement, it truly feels like you're waking them back up. Exactly, he said. When the jawline begins to sag, it's often because the underlying tissue has lost connection to tension. Not damage, just disuse. And by pressing into the bone, we remind the nervous system that this area is still alive. The fascia, the skin, the lymph, the muscle, they all respond to engagement. You're not just lifting, you're reestablishing boundaries that the body can then maintain. So this isn't just surface work, it's really re-education for the face. Yes, it's a reintroduction to firmness from the inside out. What stands out to me is that the movement is repetitive but not mindless. Each repetition builds a kind of memory into the tissue. So once we've brought this level of tone and attention to the jaw, what area do we move to next? And what changes when we get there? Now we come to the third technique, he began, one that activates the ears, stimulates circulation, and clears the lymphatic system like opening a drain. Place your fingers just in front of your ears where the jaw connects to the skull and begin making small circular motions. You want to press deeply enough that you feel movement under the skin, but gently enough that it doesn't cause discomfort. From there, glide your fingers upward slightly. Then sweep them backward and down along the line just behind the ear, tracing the pathway of the lymph. Do this until your ears begin to feel warm. That's the signal your system is responding. That's such a subtle cue, warmth in the ears, but it's also a clear sign that something is truly shifting, that the fluid isn't stuck anymore. And what surprised me most is how calming it feels, like the pressure in my whole face drops a little. That sensation is not just emotional, it's physiological, he explained. There are major lymph nodes behind the ears, and when they're stimulated, drainage improves not just in the face, but also the scalp and sinuses. Blood vessels dilate. Fresh oxygen enters the skin. The temperature shift tells you the system is opening and that puffiness will begin to recede. Many people feel their whole head lighten after this technique because stagnation doesn't just weigh down the skin, it dulls the mind. So, in some ways, this massage isn't just cosmetic, it's also cognitive. Yes, in Japan, we say a bright face begins with clear channels. I totally believe that because after doing this part of the massage, I didn't just look less puffy. I genuinely felt more focused, more alert. So now that we've opened the drainage behind the ears, where should our hands go next? And what structure are we lifting in the face itself? Now we begin the fourth technique, he instructed, lifting the corners of the mouth and reawakening the cheek muscles, which are some of the first to lose tone after 60. You place your index and middle fingers beside the corners of your mouth, gently hooking into the natural crease there. Then, in one smooth motion, glide your fingers upward along the cheekbones toward the temples as if you are drawing a smile into the muscle itself. Pause briefly at the top, then release and repeat. This upward arc, when done slowly and with slight pressure, helps strengthen the zygomatic muscles and train the face to lift itself again. That image of drawing a smile into the muscle really stays with me because it makes this feel less like a workout and more like an emotional alignment, like you're reintroducing the face to joy, to movement, to a youthfulness that comes from within. Yes, because expression shapes structure over time, he confirmed. If we carry sadness or tension, the muscles around the mouth collapse. They fall inward. But when we retrain the cheek muscles with touch, we invite a new shape, one based on openness. This also reduces the sagging effect that pulls the jaw downward. With the daily repetition, many people notice their entire lower face becomes lighter, not just in how it looks, but how it feels. So this isn't just about lifting, it's about unburdening, correct? Correct. You are lifting away the weight of unused emotion and unspoken stress. And I love that this technique also addresses the emotional toll of aging because many people feel like their face has lost its character. But what I hear in his words is that character can actually be restored. So now that we've lifted the cheeks and mouth, what part of the face should we bring attention to next? And what hidden tension are we about to uncover? Now we move into the fifth technique, he continued, which addresses one of the most stubborn signs of facial aging, the nasolabial folds. You begin by placing your fingertips on either side of the nose, just where the folds begin to form. Then, using gentle outward pressure, you stretch the skin diagonally, not only to flatten the crease, but to release the tension buried at its base. Hold for a moment, then trace the movement upward toward the top of the cheek, like smoothing out a wrinkle in fabric. This stretch calms the levator and buccinator muscles, which are often tight from years of unconscious holding, especially from frowning, chewing, and even smiling under stress. That's something people rarely talk about, that smiles when held under stress can leave just as much tension as frowns. And this area, the base of the nose, the cheek crease, it truly seems to absorb that history. When I did this stretch slowly, I felt a surprising amount of sensation, almost like the muscle didn't know how to let go. That's very common, he agreed. These folds are not just from age, they are the signature of repetition. And over time, that repetition becomes etched into the face. But what we're doing here is different. We're not trying to erase the fold. We're asking the muscle underneath it to soften, to release its grip. And when that happens, the line becomes less fixed. It loses its weight. The face appears more open, more balanced, and most importantly, more comfortable. So the real goal here is not perfection, it's relief. Exactly. This is restoration, not correction. That distinction really matters, especially for older adults who've been told their face needs fixing. What he's offering is the opposite. It's a way to reclaim natural structure. So now that we've released the center of the face, what comes next? Next is technique number 6, he explained, focused on the eyes where fatigue, age, and emotion tend to leave the most delicate mark. Begin by gently placing your knuckles or fingertips along the outer edge of the eye socket near the temples. Then, with light circular motions, trace the bone gently under the eyes, inward toward the nose, and back around in a full arc above the brow. You're not rubbing the skin, you're massaging the muscle beneath it, especially the orbicularis oculi, which encircles the eye like a soft ring. As this muscle relaxes, the eyelids begin to lift naturally, and the wrinkles at the outer corners soften, not because they are erased, but because the tension that deepened them is gone. When I tried this one, I noticed two things almost immediately. First, how sensitive the area is. It felt tender, even a little emotional. And second, how deeply relaxing it was, like I hadn't realized how tightly I was squinting or furrowing until it was gone. That tenderness is the body's way of telling you, thank you, he shared. The eye muscles are often overworked from screens, from squinting, from years of emotional expression, and unlike other parts of the body, these muscles don't get stretched or moved in daily life. That's why this massage is so powerful. It helps reduce eye bags, yes, but more importantly, it improves microcirculation so nutrients and oxygen can reach the area. Again, this isn't just about looking more awake. It's about supporting the delicate tissues that help us see, focus, and connect. So it's a functional lift, not just a cosmetic one. Exactly. You're not pushing up skin. You're clearing away what's been weighing it down. It's incredible how such a small, gentle motion can have such a visible and internal effect. And it makes me wonder if we hold that much tension in the eye area, I can imagine we are also holding it just above that in the space between the brows, right? Yes, this is the seventh technique focused on the space between the eyebrows where frown lines often settle like a shadow of worry, he confirmed. Take your index and middle fingers and press gently into the inner brow right above the bridge of the nose. Hold for a few seconds, then move outward in slow horizontal strokes along the brow line as if smoothing the tension away. You'll notice the skin here may feel tighter, more resistant. That's because the corrugator supercilii muscle, which pulls the brows together, has likely been overused. Stress, light sensitivity, and habitual concentration all create tension here that doesn't release on its own. But with repetition, this massage helps soften the deep furrows and restore ease to the upper face. That's the line so many people call the 11s, those twin vertical creases that make us look angry or stressed even when we're calm. And for years, the only option people were offered was injections. But here, he's showing there's a way to help that muscle soften itself from the inside. Exactly. Botox freezes this muscle, but massage teaches it to let go, he clarified. That's a very different relationship. You are asking the body to participate in its own healing, and over time, that creates changes that are not only visible, they are sustainable. You'll notice more space in your expression, more lightness in the eyes, and often people say they feel less reactive simply because this tension is no longer pressing inward all day. So, this isn't just face work, it's nervous system work. Yes, and it's often the most transformative for those who carry invisible stress. That's a powerful reminder because the face doesn't just show age, it shows habit, defense, fatigue. And when we meet those things with touch instead of force, something deeper really does begin to change. So once we've softened the center of the face, what about the very top, where lines tend to stay even when the rest of the face lets go? Now we move to the eighth technique, lifting the forehead and releasing the adhesions between the skin and skull, he guided. Begin by placing your fingertips just above the eyebrows. Then press gently upward toward the hairline. Hold for a few seconds. Then use a gentle rocking motion to shift the skin from side to side as if checking how freely it moves. Most people find that this area is surprisingly stiff. That's because over time, the fascia here becomes stuck to the underlying bone, creating horizontal lines and restricting the blood flow. By freeing that connection, we restore mobility. And mobility leads to softness, flexibility, and a forehead that lifts naturally. That's something I never considered, that the skin on the forehead could actually get stuck. I always thought wrinkles here were just from repeated expressions, but he's showing that it's also about adhesion, about the skin losing its glide. Exactly. The skin should move like silk over the bone, not stick like tape, he explained. When it becomes fixed, even neutral expressions look strained. But once you release these adhesions, the skin breathes again. Blood flow returns. The surface begins to reflect the freedom beneath it, and that alone can change how someone looks and feels in a matter of days. So, this massage helps restore not just tone, but texture. Yes, it softens both the look and the feel of the forehead. It's amazing how something as subtle as rocking the skin can signal so much to the body that it's safe to soften, safe to move. And once we've lifted this area, there's really only one place left to go, the very top. What happens when we bring this practice to the scalp itself? Correct. Let's look at the ninth and final technique. Massaging the scalp and hairline where hidden fluid and tension often remain trapped, he concluded. Begin by placing your knuckles at the center of your forehead, just above the brow line. Slowly drag them backward into the hairline, applying enough pressure to move the skin without causing discomfort. From there, use circular motions across the scalp, especially along the top and sides, to gently release tightness and improve circulation. These movements stimulate lymphatic drainage in the entire upper face and also help prevent swelling that often settles overnight in the eyes and forehead. I'll admit, when I first tried this part, I thought it seemed unnecessary. But within seconds, I felt a release I didn't expect, not just in my head, but all the way down my face. That's because the scalp is part of the same system, he shared. If the top remains tense, fluid has nowhere to go. It becomes trapped, pooling in the forehead, around the eyes, even in the cheeks. But when we mobilize the scalp, we clear a path for everything below to shift and reset. Many people report that this technique alone helps them sleep better, feel calmer, and experience less facial tension in the morning. And when done regularly, it improves not only the contours of the face, but the brightness of the skin. So the hairline is more than just the border of the face, it's the final release point. Yes, it's the ceiling of the system, and when it softens, the entire face has permission to rise. That's a beautiful image and a powerful way to end the sequence. Because what started as a facial massage has truly turned into something deeper, a method for reminding the body that it still knows how to heal. So, for someone listening who's never tried this before, what would happen if they did all 9 of these just once and then stayed with it for 2 weeks? If someone committed to this practice for just 2 weeks, he explained, they would likely begin to see not only visual changes, but sensory ones. The skin may feel warmer, more elastic, more connected to the muscles beneath. Puffiness would begin to reduce not because of force, but because of restored flow. Expressions may soften not because lines disappear, but because the body isn't holding as tightly. And for many, this leads to a quiet kind of confidence, the kind that doesn't come from looking younger, but from feeling more alive in one's own skin. That's such a powerful distinction because for so many people after 60, self care can start to feel like a losing battle, a chore. But what he's offering here is something completely different. It's not about chasing youth, it's about remembering vitality. Exactly. These movements don't erase your years, they honor them, he concluded. They help you meet the face you have and offer a care instead of critique. And when that happens, something shifts. The mirror becomes a place of relationship again, not rejection. And that change, even if small, ripples into posture, presence, even how you speak. You walk through the world with a little more dignity because your body feels tended to, not ignored. And that's something no cream or surgery can give, that feeling of inner coherence. Yes, the touch says, I'm still here, I still matter. That's the note I want to end on because I've seen what happens when people come back to themselves like that. And if you're listening, please let us know in the comments and give the video a like. We truly hope you'll try this for just 14 days.